All right, guys, we're going to talk about why Bitcoin fell today and why it's coming back up fast. Now, the two events that caused Bitcoin to sell are both sell events. One by the US government. Remember that 10,000 Bitcoin transfer we were talking about yesterday to Coinbase Direct? I was really hoping that was for custody, but that does not seem to be the case. They did sell that because that wallet is now at zero. I think Cryptos R Us actually reported it, but they have liquidated that 10,000 Bitcoin, and that probably caused half the drop. We also got word that Fidelity did sell a chunk of their Bitcoin. Not a huge chunk, but a chunk. And a chunk from Fidelity is still a lot of Bitcoins. Now, why did they sell? Remember, Fidelity buys Bitcoin and sells Bitcoin for their customers. So some of their customers must have sold, so they sold a chunk. Probably like just a couple thousand Bitcoins, but combined with the government stuff, plus the leverage stuff, that obviously is enough to bring Bitcoin down 1 or 2,000 points. We were at 59, 58,000. Today, I think the lowest we dipped was 56.1 or 56.4. Now it's back at 57.7. So we are bouncing back. Some people are thinking it's monkeypox or it's like the fear of recession. I don't think so, because both of those things would have definitely impacted the stock market as well. And as you can see, the DJIA was up 500 points. The NASDAQ was up 400 points. So I don't think either of those are true, because, if people were afraid of one, they would 100% be afraid of the other as well. So I kind of like disregard those things because people were obviously not afraid. So realistically, I expect us to bounce up pretty fast. Once they got liquidated from all this stuff, I don't really expect them to have like a second liquidation or anything. Because it's like basically sell from the government and sell from Fidelity, once they're done selling, there's no further negative sentiment from the market. Crypto has been following the stock market a little bit more closely lately, and I don't expect this to be any real exception. And I do think crypto is going to continue to follow the stock market, especially if the stock market goes up tomorrow. I do expect crypto to rebound. I do expect crypto to keep rebounding tonight unless another black swan happens. 10,000 Bitcoins might sound like a lot, but compared to like Mt. Gox, compared to some of the German government sales, it's really not very much at all. And I do think like that wallet is emptied, so we shouldn't have any more sales from that front. And I do believe the crypto market is very healthy. Yes, there could be other sales right now, but I do expect us to recover to about 60K, maybe slightly more. And I do think it's going to be slightly more because remember like the whole Japanese fallout thing, we were about 60, I think like 63 or so before that actually happened. So I expect us to like recover fully to that 63K area. Now, will we? I'm not sure, but I think there's a good chance that we actually go up higher than we were 2 days ago because the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the NASDAQ have both regained some of their points. And I think they've completely and utterly wiped out that giant dip last Monday that people were so afraid of. And as for monkeypox, I mean, yes, there was a case in Sweden on a different variant, but I don't think that's such a big deal. They're definitely not going to lock us down. It's not an airborne virus, so it has to be it can be transmitted by touch between humans or pets, which is much less contagious than an airborne virus like COVID was before. So I don't think there'll be a panic. Yes, it is more deadly than COVID. But because the contagious aspect of it isn't nearly as high, in other words, it's not airborne, I don't think people will actually be that concerned across the world. And I don't think anyone's really going to go for kind of like a shutdown type of thing over monkeypox. So that shouldn't really affect the economy that much. And I do not think that will be a black swan event. So those of you that are hoping for like, $40,000 or $30,000, probably not going to happen. I do expect us to be back around 60K, maybe slightly higher over the weekend. I don't really expect us to go up much more than that because there's also not really like a huge thing to move us up. Yes, the CPI numbers were pretty decent, but they weren't like glorious or anything. They weren't like, hey, yeah, inflation's over, we're down at 2%. They were still at 2.9%, which is around where we were last month. So it's kind of holding. It's not getting any worse. And if you look at the economic numbers for today, retail spending was actually up 1% in July from June. So people are still spending money. So that means like Jerome Powell and the Fed, they're going to cut interest rates in September. but they're not going to cut them that much. Like, I don't think a 50 basis point thing is going to happen. I think it's 25 basis points in September, and maybe another 25 in November. I think people are bracing for that. And I think when he initially cuts the rates, there might be a small drop in price, and then it will actually go back afterwards once that ball starts rolling. Whoever is president next year will actually benefit from the multiple rate cuts that the Fed actually gets during their term, because the Fed's definitely going to cut next year. I think they're going to cut twice this year, maybe several times next year. Once that rate gets down to about 3.5%, I do think like you'll see a lot of that money market money actually come into crypto. So we might actually get a bull run in the later part of 2025 rather than just opening 2025. But I think early 2025 will also be pretty darn good as well. And the reason is because they will get that ball rolling on rate cuts. And when they do get that ball rolling on rate cuts, I think it's going to be people are going to switch and people are going to start buying crypto regardless of what the other policies are. And the political policy is going to be pretty friendly towards crypto. Chuck Schumer has promised pro-crypto legislation. And I think pretty much all the Republicans are going to be with the pro-crypto legislation as well. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.